أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. It seems that they are blocking all calls to Guinea Equatorial, yes, from your end. So tell CD that this is what's happening. So what I'm going to do is to record an audio and send it to you. But you have to contact CD also. And okay, tell Brother Sam also that this is what we are facing now, which means all calls to Equatorial Guinea are restricted. They are not allowed them to pass. It's from your end. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My fellow Gambians, fellow citizens of the Gambia and non-citizens of the Gambia in the Gambia, friends of the Gambia, Gambians both at home and abroad, I greet you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, has been the long-awaited announcement that all of you were expecting over the years. Thank you very much for your patience, and I want to make it crystal clear that I've always longed to come back to my homeland, my motherland, the Gambia. First of all, you all know the events that led to me leaving the country, leaving the Gambia to come here. It was a result of a dispute over the election results that most of you call the impasse. What brought it about was the fact that they announced the first results that I accepted only for the IEC, the same IEC that conducted the elections, to come with a new set of results, of course, where they admitted that they made mistakes. That being the case, we decided that the whole issue has to be settled in the Supreme Court. We are not going to accept the results. This is what brought about the problem. Okay, what happened was when the first set of results were announced, most of the people, most of my officials rejected the results. But to avoid any problems in the country, okay, the country was so much polarized. I discussed with them and we agreed that, okay, I can accept the results as they are. Despite various discussions with the IEC chairman, then Aliu Momar Njai, we made it very clear that we are going to challenge the results. It was very clear to him. Then 3 days later, I think 3 days later or whatever, they came with a new set of results. All this information was passed to the ECOWAS, EU, and the UN. That we are not going to accept the results, for which ECOWAS dispatched a team of heads of state, the then chairwoman, or chairperson they call her, Her Excellency President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia, His Excellency the late President of Nigeria, General Buhari, And the president, now the current president of Ghana, who at that time was also facing elections, he lost, he went out, now he has been re-elected. To cut a long story short, they came and I made it very clear to them. They asked me, it was Buhari himself. I don't want to talk about somebody that has passed away. I will not accuse him of anything because that will be a grave sin. He asked me, and I know the president of Ghana is there, back to power. He was there, and the president of former president of Sierra Leone, Ernest Bai Koroma, they are alive. President Buhari asked me, "What are you going to do now?" I told him, "All what I need is we have a petition that we want to take to the Supreme Court of the Gambia because any election dispute in this country must be settled through constitutional means. Nullifying the election, the result does not mean that there wouldn't be elections. We want fresh elections." He asked me, what is the time frame? I told him, according to the constitution, is what we want to do. I think it was within 6 months. Okay? He told me, in the presence of Elijah since Salif is alive as well, that don't do anything illegal. I told him I will never do anything illegal. I accepted the results only for these people to come with new results, claiming that they were wrong. The first results, they made a mistake. How is that possible? Then later on, I learned that the servers for the elections were based in Dakar. I asked why Dakar? And we couldn't get any clear-cut answer from the IEC. I objected to the positioning of the servers in Dakar because Dakar is not part of the Gambia. Why would they put the servers there? We don't know. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I explained everything to them. Okay? And His Excellency, the late President Buhari said, okay, that he was made to understand that the judges that were in the Gambia, who are part of this, who from the core majority in the Supreme Court of the Gambia, are in recess. But then somebody said, no, but they can be called because there was a judge from Ghana and a judge from Sierra Leone. And then, and as Bai Koroma said, well, we want to resolve the problem peacefully, then it has to be. I'm ready to send my judge. I think she was a female. And Ghana also promised to send a judge. So you have two judges, one from Ghana, one from Sierra Leone, and both Sierra Leone and Ghanaian heads of state said they are going to send the judges if Buhari, who has the majority, is ready to send his judges. Buhari looked at me and he said, okay, I will look at it. I told him, no, there's a provision that says that in case of an emergency, judges in recess can be called to take care of the problem, after which they go back and the days that they spend resolving the problem will be added to the recess. He said, well, he will go back to Nigeria. Okay. He went back to Nigeria only for us to hear so many stories that, from the coalition, using the you-know-who as a mouthpiece, saying that they've already blocked everything. The Nigerian judges are not coming. We all heard that. And unfortunately, it became true. The next thing we had was a meeting in Mali, Africa France Summit, where a former president of France, then he was the president, held, Adama Barrow was invited there. I was not invited. Held his hand and said, this is going to be the president of the Gambia, whether anybody likes it or not. So he is the president of the Gambia and you should accept him as president of the Gambia. Okay. Well, he's not a member of, France is not a member of the ECOWAS. France is not a member of the AU. France is not a member of Africa. So for somebody to come and declare in the presence of African heads of state that this is the president, whether anybody likes it or not, the president of the Gambia. Anyway, to cut a long story short, that is. The next thing I heard was the AU calling a meeting, an emergency meeting to which I was not invited to go and defend myself. My delegation, I sent a delegation, they were not allowed to enter. So also ECOWAS held an emergency meeting in Abuja, to which my representatives, there was a dispute as to whether they were allowed to enter, but they were not allowed to speak. But they were blocked 3 days in Dakar, because at that time we had to fly through all flights were based in Dakar, and they had to go to Dakar. They spent 3 days in Dakar. Whatever happened, I don't want to speculate. Only for me to later know that the AU has taken the matter to the UN Security Council. That's a long story. That's a story of its own. And then other declarations were being made. Then ECOWAS, all of a sudden, the then ECOWAS secretary or president or whatever, we used to call the ECOWAS secretary general, made an announcement giving me an ultimatum that I have to leave. But before that, the heads of state came again, okay, and then and the heads of state from ECOWAS came again. But anyway, that's another story. Then the president of Mauritania, the former president of Mauritania, Abdul Aziz, President Aziz, came on his own, because he's not a member of ECOWAS. He came, we had a meeting. Then later on, he went back. Then former President Alpha Conde called me and said he wanted to come and see me. It was urgent. He was sent. Sorry, the audio was cut off by a call. Okay. Then he told me he was coming. I said, okay, you can come, but provided that you come with the president of Mauritania, who was a friend of mine and still is a friend of mine. And then you can come with him, because he was the first person who came solo to come and see me. Okay. He said, okay, I will do that. So he contacted the president of Mauritania, who agreed to come the same day with him. They'll meet in the Gambia, and that was agreed, and they came. And then it was then that Alpha Conde called the UN Secretary General, and I was informed that the representative of the UN Secretary General in West Africa, Chambers, was in the country. So Alpha Conde knew all that. So he was called, they were called. They asked whether he can come and join the discussion. When I've already agreed to let things go. They told me, well, these people, they are hell-bent on destroying your country. I told them they cannot destroy my country. Yes. And I told you, if it is a military threat, I'm not afraid of that. They'll find me here. The instructions were clear-cut. All this fake news on major international networks, oh, Gambia people are fleeing, whatever. We all know those who are fleeing to Senegal. Outrageous statements were being made and people were being harassed. There was a lot of intimidation of APRC supporters. Then I announced that I was not going to leave. Then they calmed down. But these people came and told me, okay, we are certain that the judges are not coming. I made it clear to them. They said, yes, we know. And I know the plan B is even the announcement of the fake results, second result was deliberately made because I accepted the first. They were not expecting me to accept the first one. First results, I accepted them. And then they were certain that if they bring new sets of results, I was not going to accept. Because the objective was not a democratic change of government. I was ready for that. But then these people came and intervened. They pleaded with me. Yes, I was told of all the plans, and I told him I am out. They were shocked when I told them the location of each so-called ECOWAS member state where their troops are. And I made it very clear, as long as they don't enter the Gambian territory, we are not going to touch them. But if any one of them enters the Gambia, we are going to wipe them out. And that was what I was ready for. Fortunately, all the fake news on TV of Senegalese troops in the Gambia were all lies. They gave a deadline. They gave me an ultimatum. That Secretary General of ECOWAS then, I think it's a Benuno or whatever, told me to leave. The same ultimatum that was given to Saddam Hussein before the invasion gave me the date I should leave with my family to another country, and let the new coalition government take over. I just laughed. But anyway, it's a story that we wanted the whole thing to be treated by the Supreme Court. The judges were blocked for whatever reason. And so, because there was no recourse to legal resolution of the conflict, I decided to leave. Sorry about the cut off. My brothers advised me that they will stay with me and take off with me. I told them, no, there's no need. They told me not to use my aircraft. I told them I'm going to use my aircraft and see who's crazy enough to try to shoot it down. But they told me you have to consider that your family is there, your entire family. You're flying with your entire family. Yes. But anyway, so they decided that they're not going. You remember they stayed here. Then ECOWAS, that person who was then the Secretary General or whatever, or they call whatever name they call, I think President or Chairperson of the ECOWAS, made an announcement that these people were supposed to come. ECOWAS group was supposed to come and meet with Alpha Conde and others, and the President of Mauritania, and the UN representative. Then he made an announcement that those people are not coming because whoever goes to the Gambia, Jammeh will kidnap you. That was what was said official by ECOWAS, that I'm going to kidnap them. Anyway, it's a long story. So Gambia, I think you heard all what was going on if you were listening to the media. So they never turned up, and so I decided to leave. But the agreement secured by Alpha Conde and President Assis, together with then Chambers was authorized to sign on behalf of the UN Secretary General. Okay? When Alpha Conde made the call, I was there. So the whole draft memorandum of understanding was drafted in my presence. And then it was announced in my office. I made the announcement that I'm leaving. What was agreed in the memorandum of understanding is very clear. So if you want to know, go to the UN website. And of course, I'm happy that Khalifa Saleh was told to sign by, he said he was authorized to sign. Then President Adama Barrow was in Dakar. Okay? So that one was given to the, okay, Khalifa Saleh signed the agreement, okay, for a fact. And Chambers signed for the UN Secretary General, okay. I signed, and then Alpha Conde and others signed, I think so, yes. So there were guarantees, and that they pleaded with me to leave. ECOWAS pleaded that these people, the coalition said that they are not, because originally I wanted to go back to my farms. I was told by all these groups that the coalition is not comfortable with you being in the Gambia. Yes, because you have massive support from the people and from the military. And I made it very clear in the argument that if somebody is elected and he doesn't want to be guarded by his own people, then the election, there's something wrong with the election. Because I've never brought foreign troops to protect me because of the election. And we pose no threat. They know that. We can wipe them out in a minute. But we're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't want any child, Gambian child, to be a refugee. We know the conditions of the refugee camps. I don't want any Gambian woman, any Gambian for that matter, to flee the country for whatever reason because of Yahya Jammeh. I love the country and I have to live in peace, leave the country in peace. And that was why I decided to leave, to give them a chance. They told me, you have to go outside of the country, something I rejected before. They pleaded with me and I said, okay, I looked at it, watched CNN, I saw people that were moving in other parts of the world, refugees, and the way they are treated. I said, okay, I don't want any Gambian, my friend or my family or my enemy, to go through this very, very, very humiliating treatment. That is not what I have for the Gambians, all Gambians for that matter. And so I decided, they said they are going to stay with me, Alpha Conde and Assis of Mauritania, and they took off with me. The rest is history. It was agreed that I can leave and come back after 6 months without preconditions. That is what is there, that I can go back to the Gambia as a Gambian citizen, and there were so many things that were guaranteed, and as soon as I left, you all know what happened. Now, I'm here to tell you that 6 months turned out to be almost 9 years, 9 years plus. And today, I want to announce to you that come November, this November 2025, I'm coming back to the Gambia. The date and flight arrangements, travel arrangements would be announced by the executive interim leader, Mamadou Yafai Tamba, deputy and admin secretary would work on this together with us. That is the travel details. And by the grace of the Almighty Allah, the travel details will be announced soon. These are the people that will make the announcement, period. I want to thank every one of you for your support. I also want to thank the EPRC for their support. And I want to advise everyone. The APRC, we are not known for violence. Violence has been exerted on us. I don't want anybody to take the law into your own hands. I have a right to stay because the Supreme Court was supposed to judge. And that is the democratic and legal solution, peaceful solution to the problem. The Constitution was disrespected, no problem, because there was a hidden agenda. I don't want to go further than that. But this announcement does not mean that APRC militants should take the law into their own hands. No. Let us be law-abiding as before. Let us love our country. Let us not be the cause for any bloodshed or any violence in the Gambia. I have to come back and say that's my country. Nobody can prevent me from coming in. I mean, I have missed my country. It was supposed to be 6 months. Now you know how long I've stayed out, and I can hear you people yearning for me to come back. It's not that I don't want to come back, but I always made it very clear. I want to come back. Inshallah, by the will of the Almighty Allah, I will come back month of November 2025. I don't want anybody to be engaged in violence or breaking the law. You must be law-abiding. I want to come and stay peacefully in my motherland. May the Almighty Allah grant us that day in November, inshallah, by His grace. I left by His grace, and I want to come back by His grace and will. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all of you. Thank you for your attention. No violence, no intimidation. Thank you.